Imagine you've been dreaming of visiting the UK, especially you're dreaming of seeing the Tower Bridge of London, Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, or even spending time with friends and families. And then all of a sudden you started hearing all this negativity on social media, UK deporting people, or people have been sacked from their workplace, or people have been deporting, or migrants have been deported, or no more UK visas. Everything is just going on social media, and that is not something that you really want to hear. But in today's video, I'm just going to share with you, it's not everything that is negative of coming into the UK, especially if you have the dreams to come to the UK, to come and see those side attractions of the UK. So I'm going to show you a pathway, a better, safer pathway for you to come to the UK if you really want to visit the UK. So stay tuned to the end of this video. I'm going to walk you through step by step on how to get here in the UK legally. So if you really want to come to the UK, there's still chance and opportunities for you to come to the UK by using the UK Standard Visitor Visa. But hang on a minute, before you pack that bag to come to the UK or to apply for that UK Standard Visitor Visa, there is something important that you need to understand about the UK Standard Visitor Visa. So first, we're going to look at who is really eligible for this UK Standard Visitor Visa. And secondly, we're going to look at the visa different fees. And third, we're going to look at your length of stay for each visas. And then the last one, which is number 4, we're going to look at the mistakes that people made when they come here on that UK Standard Visitor Visa. First thing first, let's look at how to get your UK Standard Visitor Visa. The first thing you have to do is to make an online application before you travel to the UK. And you have to attend an appointment at a visa application center. So wherever you are, make sure you find out first where is your application center. Then you will know where to go for when they send you an appointment. And the earliest you can apply, make sure you haven't done any travel plans yet, because you need to give yourself at least 3 months before you travel. That is when you make the application, you give yourself 3 months before you make any plans to travel. And you must meet all the eligibility requirements as well when making your application. So first, before we go through who is eligible enough for UK Standard Visitor Visa, let's look at the visa fees first. You can apply for a Standard Visitor Visa, or if you visited the UK regularly, you can choose to apply for a long-term Standard Visitor Visa instead. So let's go through the visa's fees. So if you're applying for a Standard Visitor Visa for maximum length of stay, which is 6 months, it will cost you currently, at the time I'm making this video now, the 6 months visitor visa is about £127 for 6 months. And if you want to apply for longer than 6 months, let me say 11 months, that is if you have like a medical reasons to come and do in the UK, it will cost you currently about £220. And also, if you have you're coming to the UK for academical reasons, that also you can have a 12-month visa. That is if you're here for academical purpose, and that one will cost you about £220 as well. And if you're applying for longer than 2 years, like 2 years long-term Standard Visitor Visa, it will cost you about £475. But however, with this long term, despite it's a 2 years one, you are only allowed to stay 6 months per visit. After your 6 months, you can go, and then you can always come back until your 2 years visa ended. And you have another one, which is about 5 years long-term Standard Visitor Visa. That one costs about £848 currently. And that also applies the same. You are only allowed to stay 6 months per visit. And then there's another one, which is a 10-year long-term Standard Visitor Visa. And that cost currently, as I'm making this video, is about £1,059. And that also applies to the 6 months per visit. And just remember this, If you're applying with your family, like you're applying for a family of 2 or 4, each person must have their own applications and pay the fees for each application. They need to attend their own appointment at a visa application center. So just remember that. And documents and information you will need to apply. You must have a valid passport or travel document that is valid for the whole of your stay in the UK. And also make sure when you're giving, if you're using your passport, this is the mistake some people do, make sure there is a blank space where they can stamp your standard visitor visa. Make sure you have enough space where they can stamp your visa. And you need to provide the following information when you're making your online application. You need to have the date that you are planning to travel to the UK, and make sure the date that you're giving at least is a minimum like 3 months when making the application. And also you need to show where you're staying during your visit, how much you think your trip will cost, your current home address, and how long you have lived there, and how much you earned a year if you have an income. And also you have to show if you have any details of any criminal record you have, or if you have civil or immigration offenses you have made or you have been committed before. So depending on your circumstances, you might also need to provide details of your traveling history for the past 10 years. And you need to provide an additional document if you're visiting the UK to study or as an academic person, or for certain paid engagement or events that you are visiting and you are permitted to be paid on that engagement, or if you're here for medical reasons. You can visit the UK as a standard visitor visa if you're here for tourism purpose, or you're here for business purpose, or you're here to study, that is a course that will be up to 6 months, and for other permitted activities, like if you're here for any entertainment industries or for medical reasons, and that has to be like a special cases. And before you make that application, because mind you, if you submit an application and then you pay those fees, you might not get a refund back if you are rejected. So what you need to do is check if what you plan to do in the UK is allowed as a standard visitor. Like I said, if you're here for tourism, or if you're here for academical reasons, or if you're here for a medical reason purpose, or if you're in the entertainment industry, you are allowed to use the standard visitor visa. And also you need to know what you can do and what you cannot do, what is permitted and what is not permitted whilst you are visiting the UK under the standard visitor visa. So you can visit the UK as a standard visitor for tourism purpose. For example, if you're on a holiday or you are on a vacation. Also, if you want to see family and friends, or to volunteer for up to 30 days with a recognized charity, or if you just want to pass through the UK to another country, like if you're doing a transit. And for certain business activity as well. For example, if you're attending a meeting or interview or conference, or for certain paid engagement or event that is permitted, that is a paid event, as like an expert in your profession. For example, if you're giving lectures or you're performing something, or for medical reasons, that is what you can do. Those are the activities they will allow you when visiting the UK. So what is not permitted while still under the UK standard visitor visa? Under the UK standard visitor visa, you are not allowed to do a paid or unpaid work for a UK company or as a self-employed person, unless you are doing a permitted paid engagement or event. And also, you cannot claim public funds, that is benefits. And also, you cannot live in the UK for a long period of time throughout your visit, especially if your visa says 6 months you should leave, you need to leave before even the 6 months. And also, you cannot marry or register a civil partnership or give notice of a marriage or civil partnership. You will need to apply for a marriage visitor visa instead. So check that you meet all these eligibility requirements. You must have a passport or travel document to enter the UK. It should be valid for the whole of your stay. And you must be able to show that you will leave the UK at the end of your visit. You are able to support yourself and your dependents during your trip, or have funding from someone else to support you. You are able to pay for your return or onward journey, or have funding from someone else to pay for the journey. You will not live in the UK for an extended period throughout your visit, or make the UK your main home, especially when they give you a 6 months to stay. Make sure after the 6 months, you need to leave. You can always extend your stay up to a total of 6 months. You know, sometimes when you're coming for like the entertainment group, sometimes they give you like a short stay, which is less than 6 months. You may be able to extend that stay for up to a total of 6 months. And you need to apply while you're still in the UK and before your current visa or the permission they gave you expires. But mind you, when you're applying for this extension to stay over the time period they gave you, you need to show evidence. You need to show evidence of your studies or your medical treatment, or whatever the reasons is. You still need to show documents of proof of your extension while you are staying more than the period that is required on your visa. And if you're in the UK already and you're trying to extend your visa, make sure you don't travel outside of the UK until you get a decision, because your application will be withdrawn if you do. So just remember that. Some of the mistakes that many people do is thinking that when they give you that 6-month visitor visa, is a platform for you to stay in the UK, to live in the UK, or to work in the UK. It's not that. When they say 6 months, make sure before even the 6 months ended, you need to leave. Even if they give you a 2-year visa or a 10 years visa, provided if you are qualified to have that, don't stay up to 6 months, at least 10 or 5 days before your 6-month time period. Make sure you leave the UK. Go and try and come back within that time frame. Because the thing so many people do is when they come here, they overstay. Even that 6-month period they give you, if you added just 1 day, that is count as an overstay. That 1 day of your 6 months is count as an overstay. So be aware of that. Make sure you don't even wait for your 6 months to finish. Go back and come back. If you comply to that and you obey the rules, you will enjoy. You will really enjoy visiting the UK. But when you overstay, that means you become illegal here. And that will spoil your chance for you to even enter the UK again. So make sure you follow the rules of that visa. If they say 6 months, it's 6 months. If there is a way for you to extend it, make sure you apply for the extension before the expiring date of the time they gave you. And make sure you stay here in the UK to wait for a decision to be made. And you're not allowed to work in the UK under the visitor visa. And you're not allowed to claim for any sort of benefit when you are under that visitor visa. So the good thing is, at least you are in the UK. That is, if you want to see the side attraction of the UK, and that can also give you leverage. Like if you are doing business in Africa, if people see that, okay, you've traveled to overseas, you're coming and going, that will also give you an opportunity to open doors for you. So try that. If you really want to visit the UK, if you really want to see the side attraction of UK, use the standard visitor visa to come to the UK. That is the legal way of entering the UK. So there you have it. If you're planning that UK trip, make sure you know the rules. Paying your right fees, understand how long you're going to stay, and also to avoid the mistakes that will cost you your future travel opportunities. Just think of it this way. You will really enjoy visiting the UK, especially when you are in that long-term visa. And if you follow the rules, you know exactly when to leave or when to come to the UK, you will enjoy your visiting or your stay here in the UK. I hope you find values on today's video. So if you do, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also share this video to someone who really wants to come to the UK legally, but they are finding it difficult, on what visa to get or how to get here legally. I'll see you on the next video.